Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Investing Bros. We got a great show lined up for you guys today because one way or another, a big Bitcoin breakout is coming. There's a massive indicator that is flashing right now that we will discuss today during our technical analysis. But another reason, and potentially one that could push Bitcoin to the upside, is the emergence or the discovery of this relationship that Apple might have with Bitcoin. Is this just a coincidence? But there's something weird happening. For any of you out there that own a Mac, we're going to show you today something very interesting you can find on your Mac right now that could be very bullish for Bitcoin. Make sure you do not go anywhere because this is going to be an amazing show. But while you're here, go ahead and smash that like button. And if you are new here, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We go live every single weekday morning from 9 to 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talk about Bitcoin. We talk about crypto. We do the TA. We talk about the news. We talk about stocks. And then we even get to engage with you guys and do some fine-tuned crypto on altcoins at the end of the show. This is the channel that you have probably been looking for a long time. So make sure you go ahead and smash that subscribe button so you don't miss a single day. With that said, though, I'm joined by two amazing co-hosts, starting off with the man sitting across the desk from me this morning, Mr. T. Shroom. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing really good, Tim. Well caffeinated, and I'm honestly better than I deserve. Got to be honest with you. I got a great quote here from the theme of our show today, Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple. Go ahead and go over to my screen because we've got a great quote today. He said, "Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do." That is absolutely true. In my opinion, it is definitely crazy people who have changed the world because people who are sane never challenge the status quo. They want their sanity to be maintained, but crazy people want to push the world into a new reality.
To be fair, is the world really getting that much better, or are we getting worse?
That's a question that Steve Jobs answered in the affirmative, that we are getting better, and that's why he chose to implement the changes that were coming from his self-proclaimed crazy mind into reality, into this world. And I thank him for that. And it requires discipline to use this product that he's producing. But at the end of the day, I conclude that it has made my life better.
I think I agree. Technologically, there's no argument. We get better and better every single day. The question is at what expense? Because there's definitely some areas in this world that, there's lots of areas in this world. It's very good that we're in it today. But there's other things that I'm like, sometimes it would be nice if some people kept their sanity and not everything changed. But, good quote, though. Steve Jobs, special man, did some special things. I'm very appreciative of the special things he did, but he was crazy. Piper, what do you think about that quote? And also, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, brother. I can't complain. What I think about that quote...
You could complain, we just don't allow it.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think that quote has a lot, but I think he's missing something. You can't change the whole world. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Start by helping those around you make positive changes. So, like T-Shroom this morning berating me for not doing PT this week. So he is working. T-Shroom is working on changing the world for the better by working in his 5-meter parameter of making me do PT and me be better. So that's what it is.
Right.
It's very good we have a remote setup because it was awkward being in the middle of that. I could have sworn if they were in the same room, there would have been fisticuffs happening. Just trying to keep his battle buddy up and ready. But it was a fun morning. Anyway, I do want to know what you guys think. We're about to get in here and read some names, but I just put in the chat, in the poll, what do you guys think is coming? Because a breakout is coming. We're going to talk about that here in just a little bit with the technical analysis portion. But what do you think is about to happen? Obviously, there's going to be a lot of people saying to the upside, some to the downside. I hear a lot of bears. If you're like over on Twitter, all the bears are like, oh, all this overwhelming positivity is just an absolute that we're about to go down. And then you hit the bulls are like, all this overwhelming unsureness of what's happening. And all these people are negative. It's about to go up. And it's like, well, no, it is literally sitting in the definition of an accumulation phase. That is a sideways trading channel. Those happen at not always the tops or the bottoms, but sometimes during pauses of bull or bear trends. So we are sitting right dab smack in the middle of this. Could go either way. The age old could go up, could go down. Technical analysis is very much in play, but I want to hear what you guys think about that. Right now, we have 60 people watching, but only 37 of you have voted on this poll. So we're going to need to get those votes up along with those like buttons. In fact, we have more votes than likes. You can click both of those for the free price of free. Every single morning. It's awesome. Right now, 53% of our 38 votes are saying a big rally is coming. That's super close to 47 right below. We're almost at 50-50. So even the Investing Bros community is a little split here. T-Shroom, I'm gonna let you give your take. What do you think is coming? Big breakout to the upside, big breakout to the downside, and then maybe you can go detail. Bitcoin, altcoins. Do you think everything goes together? Do you think things split off and do different? What are your thoughts about the market?
Yeah, well, I've been saying that because we've been kind of anticipating another dump before we go higher, right? And I still think that we will, but I think it's going to be it'll be in correlation with the Nasdaq. So I think it'll be in correlation with equities, and I think it will be in a correlation with the saying sell in May and go away. And so I think it'll be around then. I think we've got a while to stay kind of in this 27,000 to 29,000 range. And if we break up above 30, then I think it's kind of a consensus that all bets are off. We're at a different market. And that could happen. There could be some activist purchasing, one could say. But the thing is that people aren't really selling for a profit right now. There's day traders that are basically trading this range. And I think it's going to take a different psychology of sellers to come in to sell down at 26, at 25,000 in order for the price to really come back and dump. But right now, people are buying. People are buying when it gets down to the low 27s and 26. That's what we've seen since about March 17th when we penetrated back up through 27. So that's kind of my thought. I think mid-May is when we see that sell in May and go away phenomenon, and that will be a major liquidity rotation out of risk assets in general. Where does that money usually go? Just goes into dollars on the sidelines. So that is a good thing to think about, because with what everything is going on with the dollar, this sell in May go away phenomenon, there could be an exception this year, and that could not happen. And the more dominant narrative would be the everything's okay narrative that Bill Noble talked about. So that's kind of my 2 cents. Thank you, Tim.
I get the sell in May and walk away, but what about in the month of June, prices will moon, and in the month of July, prices go high?
What about that? Well, I think that's a fun crypto meme, but the reality is that the stock market has its memes, and it's going to stick to those memes a little more strictly. So
it gets a little harder to rhyme with August.
Yeah,
there's not a lot that you can go with August. If you guys can think of a good rhyme with August, let me know in chat.
Yeah,
Piper, what about you? We're about to get in here and read some names and then get into our show. But what are your thoughts about the next couple of months of price movement for not only Bitcoin but altcoins as well?
So I think we are going to have a pullback. I don't think it's going to be massive. The other thing is that I'm just seeing a lot of confluence of support. So I think on these higher time frames, if you take a look at it, like one of the things that I'm looking at right now, obviously Ethereum, but I'm seeing a 9% pullback, which isn't a bad pullback. It's decent, but I'm seeing a ton of confluence of support. So I do see that. I think it's going to be a little pullback and a big rally. So
nice. Crypto AI says August go bust. It's not the cleanest rhyme we have out there, but it does suffice, I guess, in this case. So we'll see. I to be honest, just because things rhyme with the days of the month.
What about August break resistance?
That's stretching. That's really stretching. Yeah.
Okay.
I made a colossal mistake this morning, T-Shroom. I made a very big mistake. I did not.
Did you not read the first name?
Record who was the first commenter of the day.
We'll get it in there.
Well, I don't know who it is because my poll blocks
I can try to look. Let's see.
Who was the first
Amello Fellow is what it says on my.
I was going to guess
I'm seeing Amello Fellow also.
All right. Well, shout out to Amello Fellow. His bot
he said
was
GM Bros.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, he obviously programmed the bot for massive support of General Motors once again.
Stop.
So it's
turning out that he's not such a mellow fellow after all. He's a very aggressive fellow. He's quick to the keyboard.
Might be a time for a name change.
Don't do that.
Shout out to aggressive fellow.
Don't change your name.
It doesn't have the same ring as a mellow.
I could not bear to lose a mellow fellow in the chat. I need that name in there.
Let's see who else is here this morning. Other names. Crypto Trades is here saying almost General Motors bros. Ninja Glock is here. Cryptex with the blue wrench is in chat. Eric Wallen is here. Bob is here. Also, by the way, it's Bob with a capital B at the end too. I don't know if there's significance to that, but it is an interesting note that it's Bob with a capital B at the end. Designer Vibes is here saying love is the highest value. Great quote. I agree. Love is amazing. Let's see. Al Bundles. Ooh, was Al Bundles second too, or did he just get that late? His bot was malfunctioning today. If that is true, because he came in like 10th. So gotta correct that bot there, Al Bundles. Who else is here? JN Carr is here. Spee is here. Mike Play, Bobby Smoot, Elliot Locke, Crux of Crypto with the blue wrench. Mr. J is here, but he did say he was late. I don't know. You're not too late, Mr. J, but maybe you'll regain that first comment here soon. You got to get a bot working for you like a mellow fellow and Al Bundles. Who else do we have coming in here? A lot of comments from the same people. Here we go. Servando Estrada. There we go. Eric Wallen. Soz Majid is here. Jojo is here. Army Piper with the blue wrench, both on the camera and in the chat. Elo Brown is here. Brian D. Josh Denham. Let's see who else. Jeff Sullivan. Woo. Joe. Here we go. Great name, but I have no idea how you pronounce this one. Joe. Dragon Rider.
Dragon Rider? Joe Dragon Rider.
Why was there an R there? Dragon Rider.
Maybe it's dragon in a different language, Tim.
Maybe. But he ends with Watkins, and he said, you guys start early? I don't think we started early. I think we started right on time. Who else do we have here? Caleb Franzen is in chat with the General Motors chat as well. So he's also, maybe he's been overseas now, and he's appreciating American vehicles.
Let me give it another shot. Caleb Franzen. Did that sound like the UFC guy? A little bit?
No.
Okay. Sorry.
No, it didn't. World's best health coach. That's good to have in here. Javo626. We got a couple more of these and we'll keep moving on. Crypto AI. I think we read his name earlier though. John Kahn, Mike Lowry, and the last one I'm going to read, Uptex Claymore. Uptex Claymore. Thank you to everybody who is watching this morning. Go ahead and smash that like button. If I did not read your name, it's not because I don't love you. It's because it's time to go ahead and move on with the show. We're actually a little bit behind, but that's okay. We got a long show now, so we
had a super chat.
We had a super chat. I missed that completely. We did from Elliot Locke saying, "Here's one for you, T-Shroom. Do a couple of your favorite precious metal miners, a gold and silver. Piper, no PT. You owe us 100 push-ups now." We'll say now is at the end of the show.
The push-up cam.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that at the very end of the show. But thank you so much, Elliot Locke, for the super chat. I had to say this name because he was second, but I think my poll covers the first two commenters. Yair Navarro, you do deserve your name to be said because you were the second one, and I'm so sorry. But I just made up for it. So you just put cries in the chat, and you did it too soon because I did say your name. With that said, let's go ahead and transition now. Let's go get our market update, our macro market update from Piper, because there were some interesting details over there. Piper, go ahead and take it away.
All right, Tim. So we had initial jobless claims come in today. What these are they're come out. It's a weekly report, and it is all of the people that have filed for unemployment. So for the initial jobless claims this week, previously we were at 246,000 jobs lost. Consensus is that it was going to come out this week at 200K, forecasted to be at 205,000 jobs lost. Actually came in higher. 228,000 jobs were lost. And if you kind of look at that, it normally means that it is bearish for the labor force, bullish for the Dixie. And the markets typically drop on that news. So that's what we had today. We got the Dixie doing a little rally right now, back up to 102. And everything else kind of pulling back, especially the Dow Jones futures market. So
interesting. Interesting. Yeah, there's not too much changing. You can share my screen. We'll just look at this because we made a habit of looking at it every morning. We're kind of sitting in the same spot we left you yesterday when it comes to predicting what May will look like. Of course, we still have almost an entire month, so this could change very, very quickly. But I will say, to Crux of Crypto, you were wrong. We waited 12 hours and it did not change. So, well, think about that one, Crux. We're still hovering around 60% saying we're going to pause, 41%, let's call it 40% saying we're going to raise 25 basis points. A lot can still change. We're still going to have a lot of data that comes out. Obviously, this is not put out by Jerome Powell and the Fed. This is just predictors. But I'm assuming what they're predicting is something big is still to come when it comes to the value of the dollar, when it comes to inflation, when it comes to banks, that they're saying we're calling BS, Jerome Powell. We don't think you're ready to raise rates just yet. Out of curiosity, we haven't done this in a while. Let's do this. Before we jump into TA, let's see what they're predicting for the future. They're predicting another pause that's to stay paused in June. They're predicting to stay paused, if not even go down 25 in July. In September, they are predicting if we haven't gone down in July, we're going to go down in September, November. So, yeah, at the moment, they are predicting another cut in November. They think we're done. CME Futures predicts that we are done and that we will end December here between 4 and 4.25. So it can change very much so. But this is something to keep your eyes on. They are obviously watching and looking at the data that's coming in, the news events that are coming in. And despite the fact that Jerome Powell and the Fed continue to hold fast because they want to get above 5% and then hold it there for a while, CME Futures do not agree. They think that is not the right call and not going to happen. Let's go ahead and go over to Bitcoin. Let's start our TA off this morning. So I told you guys in the intro, there is a massive indicator that says a breakout is coming. We hinted, or I think we discussed it a little bit yesterday, but I want to kind of more talk about it and then the different levels of support going on. I put over on Twitter another indicator I'm going to show in a second. But that is the Bollinger Bands out here on the daily chart. We are constricting pretty nicely with those flat levels of resistance and flat levels of support. This, of course, is something we always see breakouts coming. Sometimes there's a little fake outs first, but look at these times in the past when we had constriction of the Bollinger Bands. This almost always leads to breakouts. Sometimes you get a little bit of a tunnel like we had back here in December of 2022. But these almost always end up breaking out like we did here in January. Look right here. Not a massive breakout, a little bit of a disappointment, but there was some movement to the upside. We have been trading sideways right now ever since back here on the 18th of March. So a breakout would be welcome. I think a lot of people are welcoming it to the upside, although the good side is if we break the downside, that's just more Bitcoin you can buy. That's more cheap Bitcoin to buy. We will take a look at both reasons why we could go to the upside and to the downside, but I did want to start off this morning by discussing and making sure you guys were aware of this. This is a kind of an introduction into breakout is coming. We just got to see which way it is going. A couple of reasons to think, though, that it should be going to the upside. First of all, we are still holding fast to the formation of this megaphone pattern. And as we talked about in the past, we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movement here that usually after this happens, we end up seeing the breakout to the upside. I'll go ahead and draw this right here. We see a breakout to the upside that then comes back down to retest, and we have been doing a fair share of retesting right in here in this channel, and then ends up making a break to the upside. So that's one reason to suspect, all right, this Bollinger Band breakout, we are sitting on the upside of a megaphone pattern. That was a bullish megaphone pattern. Shouldn't we go to the upside? Well, the other thing is, look at the channel that we've been in that I mentioned right here. I'll even go down to the, well, let's say on the daily chart, actually makes it a little easier and cleaner to do it. I put this over on Twitter this morning. Let me take my volume down as well. I'll probably pull that back up here in a second. But this is the beginning. This is what looks like a bull flag. And I kind of noticed this yesterday, but I didn't talk about it because I really wanted Mim, that's our new favorite name for him, Mim, to talk as much as he could. But I was noticing, this looks very much like a bull flag right here that would give us a price prediction breakout all the way up there towards $36,000. This one right here is saying about $35,861. But of course, when you play with that, depending, you can play with a couple of different things here. 36 is the one that I'm kind of looking at right there and saying that could be very interesting. Of course, that $36,000 is confluence with a lot of things we've seen here before. Let's take a look here with our fixed range volume profile. Let's go all the way back to that big dip we had back in January of 2022. So we're looking at over a year's worth of data. This 36,000, we would have to go through a couple things to get here. But notice, like right now, we just made it through the gap and we're hitting our heads. We're wrestling with this volume peak that we have. It was the bottom, kind of the support level of what we had back in May of 2022. If we can wrestle through this and get above the $30,000 mark, technically there's going to be a little bit of a delay there around 32,000 because that's where we're going to find right above 32,000. We have a little dip. But then you have, just like we had before here, a nice little volume gap. We get another volume gap that runs all the way up here towards $36,000. So it would make a lot of sense, maybe not to shoot up there immediately, but this is another price. If we can clear $30,000, that is definitely something to keep your eyes on because it's the next side of another volume gap we have here in the space. Let's take a look at some other things as well. I'm going to pull up the Fibonacci levels this morning and take a look at what we have going on here. First of all, we'll start with a more shorter time frame and go here from the month of August. Keep your eyes right now. What we are currently wrestling with, might need to take some of these lines down because it gets confusing, but hopefully it holds up. We're currently wrestling right now with the 1.382 level. If we were to shoot up towards 36, we're watching for somewhere around between that 2 to 2.35. But this is major. This is also going to be, if we're talking about a pullback, watch some of these levels play their keys as well. Of course, coming back down to that high we had in August, that 25.2, we have discussed on this channel over and over and over the significance of 25.2. I've even gone so far as to say, as long as we stay above 25.2, I'm fairly confident that the bottom for this Bitcoin bear market is in. I have a lot of reasons why I think that, but as long as the price stays above there, I'm Gucci. We're good. I'm not necessarily too concerned. If we lose 25.2, that's not necessarily a nail in the coffin that a new low is coming. However, that definitely would bring in some more speculation that, hey, is this just a fake little bull market? Is this going to trip a lot of people out? We're not necessarily too far past it that it's unreasonable to come back down below it. But that's where I'm kind of sticking right now. If people are asking, Tim, what are your thoughts are? I think that the bottom of the bear market is in. I will change my opinion if we end up losing 25.2. And I have lots of reasons for that. But let's keep going on here and let's take a look at some other levels we have going on. This is a reason to suspect that we might still be topping out. As I said before here, we're kind of wrestling with the 1.382. If you were to go up to the high we had back in May of 2022, you're seeing that we are actually right now wrestling with what we call the platinum pocket. The platinum pocket, for anyone who doesn't know, are very key levels, almost as important as the golden pocket between 618 and 65. This platinum pocket is 786 to 887. Very significant zone we're wrestling with right now, which is why it's very important that we end up breaking through. Keep scrolling up. This is why Fibonacci is such a great tool. If we were to go up to the high we had back in March of 2022, we're wrestling right now with the 0.382 level. But guess what? There we go. Just even looking at that level, this $36,000 price prediction would send us back up into the golden pocket, going back to the highs of almost exactly 1 year ago today. That would be another reason to look for those levels. Again, I'm looking for higher levels, but that's just one reason to say, hey, if we get a massive bullish push here, could we not rally all the way up to this golden pocket before we hesitate and wait for the next push as well? Of course, then you go up to the all-time high, $69,000 that we hit back in December. Was it December? November of 2021. My bad. Right now, we are wrestling with the 0.236 level. 36,000 is where the 0.382 level is. So we got a lot of confirmation that this is a level of significance. Of course, even though we have wicks below, it also is a key support level that we had back here about a year ago and back in February of 2022. These are all levels you definitely want to be keeping your eyes on. And the fact that we are working in not only this megaphone pattern, the fact that we kind of have a bull flag going on right here, the fact that we have Bollinger Bands constricting, saying that a breakout is imminent, these are all reasons to suspect that we could be moving to the upside. But let's look at a couple of more of them. First of all, we are well above the dynamic reactor. We have been wrestling with the premium here. These are the levels that Chart Prime gives us that are phenomenal, but this is the premium level that are meant to be broken. The fact that we've gotten up here, retested it, and we're just not pulling back anywhere close makes me think that this is another reason to say that we are going to be pushing through here very soon. Guess what else is right there at 36,000, that close to that area, is the top level of our trading range of predictive ranges. So even Chart Prime is sitting here saying, hey, there's a good shot that this could happen. But there's one more I want to focus on before I actually want to throw it to Piper to talk about Ethereum this morning, and that would be going over to the Bitcoin dominance chart. Now, we talked about this one a little bit yesterday. I can go ahead and pull down my chart prime indicators right now. I don't necessarily need them for this. We discussed how, first of all, long term, the Bitcoin dominance has been trading in a slightly falling trading channel. We just hit our head here a couple of days ago, again, about 48% and pulled back down. However, in the shorter timeline, we were in a rising trading channel that we ended up breaking to the upside. Right now, you guys can see we got a lot. I want to see this continue to close this way, but I am watching as we are seeing a bounce back off of former resistance, a green candle on the day. Could we see the Bitcoin dominance chart just continue to take off? This goes along with my theory that I don't think that this next rally we're seeing, while I think we're going to the upside, I don't think that this is a bull market. I think this is a Bitcoin run that we're going to see altcoins and Ethereum and others follow suit and have some good runs, but it will not be a full-fledged bull market. We will have a massive crash that comes later, but could Bitcoin potentially see over 50% here within the next couple of months? I think there's a decent chance that we will. One more reason why I think that is, let's go over to the ETH over Bitcoin chart. I was taking a look at this morning, and this is going to break Piper's heart because he loves him Ethereum. He is an Ethereum maximalist, I do believe. I think that's fake, but we joke about it. The Ethereum over Bitcoin chart has been in a descending triangle now ever since back here in September of 2022. Now, we did break below it, but we've come back up to retest support. So this is kind of like a, hey, while this should break to the downside, in fact, what this chart should look like, if following normal TA, we should see the price, we should see Ethereum over Bitcoin fall by about this much after the breakout point, all the way down to 0.048351. Not important, those last couple numbers. But if Ethereum can make a rally and a push, we could kind of cancel out this descending triangle. The problem is, just like I want to see this close in a couple more days, just like we were talking about with Bitcoin dominance, where it pulled back, but it found support on former resistance. Guess what Ethereum over Bitcoin has done? It has pulled back up and found resistance on former support. So this is something to keep an eye on. This is a bearish formation for Ethereum over Bitcoin. And Piper might disagree with me, and he might have a different take. I'm not necessarily predicting that Ethereum has to go down because Bitcoin goes up, but I would not be surprised to see, especially with where the world is right now, the economy is right now. I think that people are very afraid of the US dollar. They're very afraid of banks. And Ethereum is up there, but there's nowhere close to Bitcoin just yet. I think people will feel much more comfortable moving money into Bitcoin than they will Ethereum. Watch a repeat of 2019 that Bitcoin just outpaces everything. With that said, that's just my opinion. I want to know what you guys think in chat. I also want to know what Piper thinks and what he's seeing on the Ethereum chart this morning.
Hey, Tim, actually, go to your broadening wedge real fast. I do want to show you something on Bitcoin.
My broadening wedge on the, yeah.
Let's just check back in with that broadening wedge of yours, Tim.
Yeah, let's check back in with that, Tim, because I actually want to, because our resident Elliott Wave specialist over there in Chart Prime, he showed us something before. And if you throw on that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave count that you had on there and look at what's going on with the consolidation, it almost looks like Bitcoin is making a 1, 2, 1, 2 correction right now. If you take that all the way up.
Yeah, so it'd be like this.
And if that is the case of a 1, 2, 1, 2 correction, we know what Elianachi has told us is that you have a massive breakout when you have a 1, 2, 1, 2 correction after a 5-wave count. So, yeah, that would go right along with that line that you're looking at there on that breakout too. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's one more reason to believe. Again, that doesn't make it 100%. There's obviously a chance that we go to the downside, but I'm seeing a lot more confirmation about a move to the upside for Bitcoin than I am to a downside. But we're going to have to continue to wait and see. That's what we've watched for the next couple of days.
I concur, Tim. I just wanted to point that out. It's like this is like falling right in place with what you're talking about there. So taking a look at Ethereum, I'm on Ethereum USD right now on a 12-hour chart. You can see that just recently in the past day, we have had a rejection on the upper resistance line of my predictive ranges here from Chart Prime. I love these things. It's my favorite support resistance tool that they have. We did get that nice rejection right there. Another thing that we also had going on, throwing on the fibs, you can see that we did break into the platinum pocket here. This is going all the way back to our high that we had back in August of 2022 there. So we did get rejection off of the 887 right there in the platinum pocket, still inside of it. So I'm not overly concerned about it. But if we were to break down, Tim, how far could we go? Great question, Tim. I would say that we're looking
Took
right
the words
here.
right out of my mouth.
I got you, Tim. I got you. But if you take a look here, we actually have, and let me draw this out for you real fast, just so you can see. We've got right here is our upper trade band of our predictive ranges, falling in line with our value area high of our fixed range volume profile directly on top of it. And lastly, and let me go ahead and take off those brush marks so you can see here, that's going to coincide right on top of the top band of the golden pocket. At the same time, we have our dynamic reactor coming up from the Chart Prime Market Oracle that's going to be falling right here in line with this. So do I think we could have a pullback on Ethereum? I do. And it would go right in line with that dominance that's going on with ETH to Bitcoin right now. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. It's still well above on this point of testing for support where I got into my trade. So I'm still good. I'm gold. I'm more golden than this pocket right here, Tim.
Nice.
Yeah. So if it comes down here and hits this, we're looking at about $1,705 to the $1,700 range. Probably wick down into the golden pocket, but I do think that we get a bounce from there, and that's going to give us this whole nice little double bottom action here. It's going to retest all this support that we broke through again for that double bottom retest, and then I do believe from there is where we're going to break back up. So let Bitcoin have its moment of glory right now. I have no hatred towards Bitcoin. Let it have its run, do its thing, but just know that historically, to date, and never have been proven wrong, Ethereum always outruns Bitcoin. So it's good.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. Actually, I saw something the other day. I want to test this. I don't know why I didn't test this already. I'm going to go out to the weekly chart here. I think someone was saying, yeah, I mean, historically, it's not necessarily true. Go to my chart real quick. This is the Ethereum over Bitcoin chart on the weekly chart. And you go back, the all-time high of Ethereum over Bitcoin was back in June of 17. We're setting lower highs. So I'm not saying, I mean, we're also setting higher lows. So we're forming a long-term triangle pattern of types. Maybe we see it drop here a little bit right there. That's a little too low for me, though. That's a lot too low. Are we seeing a little bit of a triangle happen that maybe it breaks out later? But no, historically, Bitcoin's actually gaining a little bit on it. Just a little bit. The highs are getting lower and lower each time. That also might have a lot to do with altcoins coming in as well and kind of stealing some of Ethereum's thunder. Maybe down the road we'll see. I don't know. What do you think about this, Piper and T-shirt? Do you think down the road we do see kind of a cleanup of the altcoin space, where instead of having maybe 1,000, maybe there are thousands of altcoins, but it really does become a thing of there's really only 4 or 5 that people actually care about?
No.
You don't think so? You think it stays dynamic?
No, I think it actually becomes more proliferated because it just depends how tokenization goes. It depends how regulation goes as well, because we could easily see a global stock market equivalent grow on top of this Web3 ecosystem that is being built. Now, regulators could put a stop to that, especially if big finance and, the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange would probably not want that. But I think that there's a future, there's a path to a future, one path, where crypto projects are just businesses. They're the future of businesses. Now, businesses, though, go in every direction. There could be the future of prisons. They could be the future of oil companies, the future of electric vehicles. There's going to be there could be a lot of controversy to come. But I think that no, it's going to go the opposite direction, regulation willing. Altcoins will vastly proliferate to the point where it would look like the stock market, but it would be at an international scale level, because blockchain is just on the internet. It's not necessarily tied to a geography, whether it be the state of Chicago or the country of Florida.
True. I mean, and here's the thing. I'm not saying there won't be thousands of coins that exist. It's not about existing. It's more about
that are taken seriously.
Yeah. No, it's could we see a time where Bitcoin and 4 or 5 altcoins hold 95 to 99% of the dominance?
Yes, especially a peanut butter jelly coin is in there too.
Peanut butter jelly coin is going to be up there for sure.
I think,
by the way, that coin exists now, thanks to our good friend Crypto Sec Guy. So if anyone else had the idea of creating one,
did he make
too
one?
late. We officially now have The picture sent me was a screenshot of the computer, but we'll debut that here in a little bit.
He's too fast.
They're officially now as a token called peanut butter and jelly coin.
Well, maybe some of this will make it into our newsletter this week. That I'm really excited. We've got a lot of good feedback on our newsletter. Those of you who don't know, we dropped a newsletter in the general chat of our Discord. I believe the next one's going to go out on Substack. Haven't confirmed that yet, but we've been experimenting with the Substack team and seeing how that could work.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think I could envision a future where, a country like Dubai passes the right combination of laws to where you can fully fund the next electric vehicle company and on blockchain instead of filing it with any kind of stock exchange, right? And they fund everything. People are exchanging their yens, they're exchanging their dollars, they're exchanging their bitcoins for, electric vehicle company X coin, right? And that's how that company funds its loans. That's how it pays off its interest. That's how it pays its employees in those coins. Or they convert it into yen and pay their employees in yen. Who knows? But I think that is a very big possibility in the future, right? And if a city like Dubai in the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, which is the country, if they were to pass a law like that, especially a country like the UAE, that would put pressure on bigger countries to kind of follow suit or consider following suit, like the United States. The United States and the UK and China would be probably not the last, but they would be in the mid section of countries to adopt that. They don't want to do anything with a bunch of risk. Adopt that set of regulations that basically acknowledges crypto as a valid way to fund a business, right? Now, I will point out that there's tons of people already doing this. This is what crypto projects are. It's not like this is going to morph into something different in the future. That's already what the case is. It's just the biggest difference is we are still on one side. We are on the pre-side of global lockstep regulation. Lockstep isn't the right word. Of global agreed upon consensus on regulation of how to approach funding commercial projects with blockchain coins, blockchain derived coins, rather than basically SEC secured stocks and equities and corporate bonds and things like that. So on the other side of that transformation, I think that we have a big pool of altcoins. Again, regulation willing. The regulation could go in the opposite direction, though.
Yeah, we'll have a lot to say about that. But I think it is time, though. Let's go ahead and transition over into our stock charts because we took a look at Bitcoin and Ethereum this morning. We'll take a look at more altcoins that you guys want to see, maybe even continue this conversation in the third half hour. But for now, it is time to transition into stocks. T-Shroom, take it away.
Stocks. What are we going to do with them? They're just going to keep going up, I guess. Well, not this morning. We're 7 minutes into the New York session, and the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones are all selling off. Even though it's modest selling, the NASDAQ is selling off the most, down 0.8%, and the Dow Jones is down 0.2%. So that gives you a little bit of a signal that folks are selling out of riskier assets, riskier equities this morning. Taking a look at energy, it's red across the board. Oil and natural gas are both down very modestly, though. Not a big move yet for either big energy commodities. Okay, looking at crypto, it's red across the screen except for Tron. Interesting. There is a story that may explain this, and we'll get to it in just a second. But the rest of the screen is red. Doge looks like it's leading the way down 4%, at least on my watch list. Ethereum is down 2.3%, giving a lot of the gains back from yesterday, and Bitcoin is down 0.9%, still holding on to being not down 1%. All right. Moving into metals, and we'll linger here for a second because there was a super chat about metals, and so I've prepared some stuff for that. Gold and silver both down about a little less than 0.5%. So let's take a look really quick at this chart. I have Barrick Gold pulled up. This is the daily chart. Let's go ahead and zoom out back to the beginning of 2023. Here you go. Had a big jump there at the beginning of 2022. There was a lot of recession fears. Goodness. I'm sorry. I was too zoomed out. I was at the beginning of 2022. Okay. But a similar story. Gold was gaining in value here, and this is a gold miner. But bumped its head up against this resistance, came back down, tested 1550, and then made a move back up, crossing over the dynamic reactor and making a move, and now has successfully penetrated, broken through that line of resistance and is looking to flip it into support. This is Barrick Gold. What I would say is that Berkshire Hathaway invested quite a bit into Barrick Gold as its precious metals play. I think it has since divested a lot. I think more than 50%, as it has sought more opportunities in other places such as the oil markets. But yeah, so Barrick Gold. I should disclaim, I do not buy or sell gold miners or silver miners, but I was asked in the super chat to kind of give two examples of some, and these are both profitable mining companies. And then the next one is going to be Fortuna. This is the silver mining company. I'm going to do a similar zoom in here on the daily chart. This is where 2023 started here. It's been trading a lot more in a consolidated range here, just moving sideways. So what did Army teach us yesterday? You can put a regression trend tool in there, and that's a really great way to trade something sideways. So here you probably would be looking to short this gold miner. But if you're looking for a long-term investment, I don't see why Fortuna wouldn't be something you're considering. The most bearish thing that one of the most bearish things I'm seeing is on the oscillator. It is getting decently overbought. On the MACD, you're seeing something similar reflected. Those lines are getting pretty high. You haven't seen a blue line that high. Now you see it pretty often, but I would say, it could be getting to an overbought point. You may want to wait for it to come back down and retest this downtrending line of now support, which would be, I'd call it support at this point. So I would also point out it's about equidistant from the equilibrium and the premium channels there on the Smart Money Concepts bundle. So you want to be careful because you are buying above that equilibrium if you're buying Fortuna silver mines. Guys, zooming out, I'm not really sure if gold and silver really is the best buy right now. It might be as we continue down this road of 2023, this crazy road. I would say right now prices are high for gold and silver, as you can, and I'm just kind of circling through here these two companies on Yahoo Finance. But yeah, I think we spent enough time on precious metals here, but I would say overall gold and silver prices have been rallying, as you can see here, since the beginning of March. They are the Barrick Gold was up as much as 29%, almost 30%, is now up 26%. So, do you want to buy something like precious metals when it just had a 26% run? I don't know. I think that might be definitely wait for this pullback down to 1890, right? When it comes and taps and tickles this line and tries to flip this into support, because it has not done that quite yet. Then that's maybe when I'm buying gold and silver. But there's also different narratives for each of those precious metals. Moving along, that we spent a ton of time there on metals. We're going to zoom on through the rest of these guys. Mega cap tech stocks, all red this morning, except Google coming in up 0.5% and Tesla leading. Mega cap lower, down 2.3%. Going to move on into bond yields. Not spend much time there, but they're red. Yields are down on the day, averaging about 1% down there, it looks like. Cannabis, will skip right on past that. And mid-cap tech stocks are looking pretty mixed. It looks like C3.ai is making a comeback today. Has had some big sell-offs recently, but your tech stocks there are continuing to reflect that circulation, that rotation out of risk. Big banks looking somewhat healthy, not really moving too strongly in either direction there. And then your oil producers are markedly down following the price of Brent crude lower. All right, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this huge opportunity, guys. We have 1 day left before the prices go up for Consensus 2023. Now, Consensus 2023 is an event that Tim and I are both going to be at. This is the event this year, the crypto event convention that we are going to be able to both attend. And there also is a special person who's going to be there as well, and that is Crux of Crypto. He'll be in the city, but he won't be in the convention. And there will be no one else of note. Just kidding. Piper's also going to be there, and we're going to have special swag to pass out from Chart Prime. So you'll definitely want to get there and get that swag. Piper ordered it last night, and it's really exciting. When are the dates to this event, you might ask? The dates are April 26th through the 28th. And what location is this, you might ask? Austin, Texas is where you can join the most important conversation in crypto and Web3. Again, those ticket sales are going to be going up. The prices are going to be going up in 1 day, in 14 hours. And you can go right now to the link in our description for 15% off. You can click on the last link in our description, Consensus 2023. Click that link and use code BROS to claim your 15% off on those tickets to Consensus. Again, that's code word BROS to get 15% off. Any other things that we wanted to mention today before we get into our crypto stories, Tim?
We do. We have a brand new Twitter account.
That's true.
And you guys need to go follow it right now. Go to my screen here real quickly. You guys need to go follow Investing Bros right now. We just started it yesterday, so we're going to get some more posts in there. But it is at Investing Bros. There's also a link in the description down below. Please help us get this Twitter page up and going. This will be where we have a lot of announcements going on. You guys continue to engage there. We're going to be starting. I don't know exactly what the date and what time is just yet, so bear with us. But we're going to start doing some Twitter spaces over there as well. So you definitely want to be following this Twitter account. Please help us spread support and awareness of it. But with that said, I think that's all of our announcements.
Sweet. We've got some awesome stories here, guys, and you're going to be hearing a lot of my voice because there's just a lot to cover here. But first, I wanted to point out on our new Twitter, you can see Gia S has followed and Hold My Seat just followed. And guess what, guys? Watch what I'm going to do.
There's some really cool people following this channel.
I'm going to follow them back. And for the rest of today, just like yesterday, the Investing Bros official account is going to be following. Look at all these follows. One of them was red. Oh no, it's just because I covered over it. Everybody's getting followed, guys. You get a follow, I get a follow, Oprah gets a follow. Now let's go ahead and get into the stories. We're going to start with Tron. Tron was the only green name there in our crypto watch list that was green. So let's see, maybe this has something to do with it. Tron's Justin Sun eyes massive $1.1 billion Bitcoin purchase from who? The US government. Wow. That's pretty wild. Sun reveals to his 3.4 million Twitter followers that he will purchase the government seized Bitcoin at 10% discount in order to mitigate this the market-wide effects of such a massive transaction. Now, while this is big news today, I will point out that this is about a week old story, but I'm assuming that this is something that he's actually becoming more serious about. Sun is responding to reports that the government plans to sell the remaining more than 51,000 Bitcoin that it seized from hacker James Zong in 2012. He was associated with the Silk Road. Nobody cares about him because he's a criminal. We don't want to celebrate him at all. But Justin Sun is looking to purchase that to prevent any kind of crazy effect that would have on the market. Now, he wants 10% discount. Is the government going to go for that? My guess is no, but we shall see how that Bitcoin gets distributed. That will be very interesting to see. Maybe they'll just burn it. That would be interesting if they just send it into the void. We shall see. All right, moving on. Let's go ahead and get into some of these crazy stories here, guys. This one is really interesting. Binance opens up Argentina fiat on-ramps as inflation hits 100%. You heard that right, guys. We're here struggling in the U.S. with 6% inflation. Over there in Argentina, they got 100. They're keeping it 100 and not in a good way. Local users now can load their Binance wallets with Argentinian pesos and trade a small section of cryptocurrencies via the app Bitcoin, Ether, BNB, and EOS, as well as dollar peg, stablecoin, BUSD, and Tether. That's interesting. These are some interesting names, guys. EOS makes me head scratch, and also BUSD is leaving me head scratch. The rest of them kind of make sense. Moving along, this is a pretty important story, guys, because this could be very big if there's been one other there's been one other Central American, let's call it South American country, El Salvador, maybe you've heard of it, that has a fully adopted and made a legal tender of Bitcoin. Could Argentina be next? We shall see. All right, guys, now we're getting into our thumbnail story. This is going to be really interesting. I'm going to show you guys some cool computer science stuff. Only coders would understand, but I'm going to spell it out for you. The Bitcoin white paper is hidden in every modern copy of the Mac OS. You've probably seen these headlines. People are freaking out about it. This is the guy. Andy Bio is the one bringing this to light. And he brought it to light yesterday in this blog on waxy.org. Never heard of it, but here we are. The file is found in every version of Mac OS from Mojave 10.14.0 to the current version Ventura 13.3, but isn't in High Sierra 10.13 or earlier. Okay, so that's for the nerds. Let's look here. There's some more details, and then I'm going to show you how to actually find this. If you are a Mac user, you can go find it today if you have one of those modern OSs. Photographer Tom Hawkins identified it as the location of a nearly identical photo he shot in 2018 on the San Francisco Bay on Treasure Island. So there's a little bit of coded meaning there. This is what the photo looks like zoomed out a little bit. It's a 6, and then it says, don't worry, I'll explain all this in a second. Warning alarm system, these premises monitored electronically. Now today I'm sharing more than just my Chrome browser because I'm going to show you guys how to actually find this on your MacBook. And then there's an update down there we're going to get to in just a second. Tim, don't let me forget that update. All right, so here we go. Here's how you do it. First of all, you go to Finder. This is on your Mac. PC people, just sit on your hands and wish you had a Mac.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go to Shift Command G. Now I've already got loaded up the proper address, what is /system/library/image capture/devices/, and then you go ahead and click that. And it's going to bring up 2 options. You want virtual scanner. You want to right click and go to show package contents, and then you want to go to resources. And lo and behold, Simple Doc PDF is Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system by Satoshi Nakamoto. This is pretty wild stuff. It's the entire white pages, guys. Now, why did I show you that image? Why was that image of some place in San Francisco? It's because this is also in this file for some reason. There's a picture of this. It says, warning, alarm system, these premises monitored electronically. What the heck that could mean, I'm not sure. What are some of the other files that are in here? Well, there's like a PDF with the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. You guys can go explore this for your own if you're Mac users. And then there's like a grid that is not a calendar that just goes up to the number 48. And there's a bunch of like blank documents. And then there's a couple of scripts. The scripts are interesting because I don't know what I would plug that into. But that's going to be our coverage of this story, guys. That's how you can find it on your Mac. It's really interesting. Now, there is one more update. There's an update to this original blog from, what's his name? Andy Bio, who's the guy who kind of broke this. The update says, a little bird tells me that someone internally filed it as an issue nearly a year ago, assigned to the same engineer who put the PDF there in the first place, and that person hadn't taken action or commented on this issue since. So who knows if that's a legitimate claim, because it's a little bird that told him, and little birds sometimes can tweet silly little things. But that is going to conclude that story, guys. It's crazy. Tim and I literally had our blinds blown this morning.
Our blinds blown.
And Piper as well. When we showed it to Piper, man, he was really taken aback as well. So Tim, Piper, what the heck is going on here? Is Apple the biggest holder of Bitcoin?
Is Apple Satoshi Nakamoto? No, they are not.
Maybe Steve Jobs was Satoshi Nakamoto, and that's why his wallet has never been touched, because he's no longer with us.
Maybe. I don't know. It definitely is. It definitely is weird. I think it's hard to know. And I don't think the article said it. Maybe I didn't. Correct me if I'm wrong. When did that go in there? So, like, how long has that been secret before it's just come out to light?
I don't know dates, but it did give.
It said when it went in.
It went as back far as Mojave. So I can search that up. When did Mojave drop?
Yeah,
Mojave 1014 0 drop time.
Because I actually would say if it is, this is what I would say. If it's old, like if it's been there for a long time, I wouldn't necessarily.
September 24th, 2018.
That's right there on the verge.
That's really long.
That's like the last, after the last bull market. 2018. We're talking about like right as the bear market's getting going. You said what month in 2018?
September
of 2018.
Mm-hmm. September 24th, 2018 is when macOS Mojave version 1014 released.
So they put it in like almost towards the bottom of the bear market. Interesting. Yeah. I don't know, because like I was gonna say, if it's been there for a long time, it's just kind of a coincidence. If it's more recent, is that kind of an Easter egg flip that Apple is kind of slowly but surely? But 2018 has been a while. Like I don't know. I feel like we would have heard something since. I have this dream and this hope, T-Shroom, that this is big, that this is a massive thing.
Yeah.
And I have a crushing fear and an inkling feeling that this is more of a coincidence and just a weird Easter egg.
A quinky dink.
That doesn't mean anything.
What do you think, Piper?
I think, like we were talking earlier, I think it's very possible it was just somebody's folder and he had it there on his desktop, and he said, I got to pull all this to get it into here and make sure I have all the files. And it says resources, so he may have just grabbed the wrong resource folder. So it's very possible.
I think that this. Here's my take. Here's the T-Shroom take.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I think that probably there was a developer working at Apple who thought that Bitcoin was really cool back in 2018, had made a bunch of money on it, and was trying to put some coded messages, or not so coded, it's just Bitcoin white paper, here it is, and accidentally left it in the OS. The reason why I think that there's more to it than that is because Apple, a $1 trillion corporation, has kept it in their OS. Now here's what's interesting. Now that it's come to light and it's in the mainstream media, this is probably bounced around like GitHub forums, and like people have talked about this in like more nerdy layers of our society. But now that it's reached the mainstream crypto YouTube world, it's definitely there, and crypto mainstream news. Now it's like, will Apple bring that out? Will they take it out? Will they delete that? Because it is pretty biased in terms of what is going to be the currency wars, the digital currency wars between CBDCs, Bitcoin, and stablecoins that's coming. So Apple probably does not want to signal that they're covertly taking a side, unless they come out and say that they are, which I think there is a possibility of that, but more than likely there's some accident here. But the weird thing that's not an accident is that they kept it in. What do you think, Piper?
I got two things here for you. One, I want to give a shout out to Crypto Archie because he's in the chat right now.
Yep.
And I think we should go ahead and confirm with him. Crypto Archie, do you want to come on TA Talk and do a session with Tim and I on our Discord? Let us know because everyone wants to see you. Two, if you take that 48 number from the calendar and you times it times pi, you get 150. 0.792.
Price prediction?
It is the price prediction of Bitcoin for the next bull run. 150K. Boom, right there. Steve Jobs released it in 2018 to us.
You know what? The 1, 2, 3, 4 could be the 4-year cycle.
It could be the 4-year cycle.
Yeah, the 1, 2, 3, 4.
And the 6 is actually the 150K times 6 for the 2030 bull run. There you go.
We need our tinfoil hat. We really do. For this.
And Crypto Archie said he sure does. So he wants to do that with us. So I will get with him later and we will set that up. That is going to be an awesome TA talk for the community. So.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, guess what, guys? There is actually one more story here today that we wanted to bring to your attention. The more you know. But before we get to that story, I have an indulgent moment that I'd like to share, which is this. I feel like I am becoming Al Borland whenever I say, what do you think about that, Tim? And for those of you who don't get that reference, that's okay. There was this TV show called Home Improvement, and hopefully that was a nice little quick hit of nostalgia for you. And you had a lot of fun with that, as much as I did. Moving on into our next story here. Ralph Lauren goes crypto, airdrops NFT invites to Miami parties. That's pretty wild stuff. Let's get into the details. Gifting NFTs via a multi-tiered partnership with online leisure company Pool Suite, which I pulled up the website for, and it is crazy. I'll show you guys in just a second. Ralph Lauren will accept Bitcoin, Ether, Matic, ApeCoin, and stablecoin USDC, starting with the new Miami store. ApeCoin is the question mark there. My guess is because Yuga Labs is actually in Miami. So that might be the alignment there. They're kind of rubbing elbows and they're trying to do all this together. Well, let's check out this Pool Suite website. It is really crazy, and it is in the style of Vaporwave. This is the website, guys. It looks like an old Windows OS. Man, today is just the OS day. It looks like the old Windows OS, and you can play like Vaporwave from it, which I have been a fan of Vaporwave for a long time. It's not a daily lesson for me anymore, but I was really into it, and it's really cool. It's got like links to its Instagram as if it's like little files on a desktop. Oh, you can pull up that. See, this is cool. This is innovative. And I'm sure that people would be compelled to buy overpriced merchandise from this website. But anyway, that's Ralph Lauren getting into the crypto scene, brought to you by Blockworks. Tim, that is going to conclude our stories, our stock market coverage, and our cool tech coverage, showing you guys that there is a Bitcoin white paper file stored within your Mac OS if you are an Apple user and have your OS up to date.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. A little bit lighter of a news day, obviously, other than the Apple stuff. But I think that we're about to get We're about to get hit with a tidal wave of news here over the next couple of weeks. It's going to be absolutely crazy. We're at 9:58 right now, so that means we're going to have extra time to do some altcoin TA. We still got 86 people watching here. Thank you to everyone who is here right now. If you have not already smashed that like button, this is a rare case where we have more likes than we have viewers, which
love it.
means that you guys absolutely love what's going on here. Those of you who are watching, go ahead though, if you have not already, smash that like button, and let's go ahead and we'll jump in a little early. We told you guys in the future we will probably incorporate some other things into this extra half hour. But for right now, we definitely want to use this time to engage with you guys, answer all of your questions. We can revisit topics we talked about before. We can go deeper. We can do TA on some of your favorite altcoins in here. We also, we can just kind of go off on tangents if you guys like that as well. But make sure you go ahead and start asking some questions in chat, giving us some coins you want us to be taking a look at, and we will get going here. Piper, question for you. What is your take right now? What is your favorite altcoin you're looking at this week other than Ethereum, as we kind of warm this up? What are you seeing could potentially have the biggest move this week?
Tim, I'm actually watching for Polygon Matic this week, and I'm watching for Near Protocol this week.
Near Protocol. I haven't looked at Near Protocol here in a while. Go ahead. Let's go to your screen real quick. What are you seeing in Near Protocol that makes you excited?
Well, Tim, let me pull that up here first. Because I did not have it up and ready to go.
Sorry about that.
No.
It's okay. It's all right. I can operate on the fly. It's a Frago. You threw a Frago in my operational order. It's okay.
Listen, just trying to keep you prepared.
And I appreciate you. I appreciate you. So taking a look at Near Protocol here right now, and I probably should pull this up on Coinbase, but I'm looking at the USDT perpetuals contracts because I trade it, right? So looking here right now, we are getting all of our support right now on our dynamic reactor. You can see that despite that we have the red on the histogram here and this downtrend, we are entering into the zero line. I actually think that if we go and we put a trend line on here, that we are going to be in this little line wedge here, and I think we're going to get this pattern going for a breakout. I think we had an attempted breakout there, and we are now there. There it is, right there. We're now on the retest. That's why it wicked down through there. So I'm watching Near Protocol this week. I think it's going to do good. If I go down into the hourly, you will see that we are right now testing on the lowered gold trade band of the predictive ranges. So I think it's about ready to get this breakout from there. And if you look there on the hourly, it looks like we're getting ready to cross on the MACD signal line, and we're on the way back up. So I think on the higher time frame, that downside we're seeing is about to flip bullish again, and then it's going to be going up. So that's one of the things I'm looking at for a trade literally right now is Near Protocol. So
yeah, I think that's a very interesting one. I love the coins. Again, it's always tempting because they could just keep going sideways, but the coins that are still hovering super low, I'm looking at Bitcoin at the moment. We can go to coins like Cardano is one, and it's got a little bit of rally going. But these coins that are hovering closer towards their bottoms than others. What was another one that we were looking at earlier this week? I think it was Link. So Link's another one. It's kind of been in this trading channel for the longest time. I'm thinking that we're getting a nice prediction breakout here very soon. But I love when they haven't had explosive rallies just yet, because it means they have a lot of potential going in the next little bit. We did get some questions here in chat, though, so you can just go to my face instead of my screen, and we'll see what happens here. The first one I saw was from Cautious, saying, what are your predictions about the next CPI numbers? That's a good question. We actually don't get that question very often. I don't think we've ever really tried to predict the next CPI numbers. What do you think? Piper, you do the macro update a lot. What are your thoughts about next CPI numbers? First of all, what is the date they're coming out? What is the expectation at this point? And then we can kind of break down what our thoughts are about that.
Might have to look it up.
Yeah. I was actually looking up SmartDex, so let me know what you were saying on that, because I was looking up SmartDex for 11.
So we're looking at the CPI numbers.
The next CPI print is going to be in April 12th.
April 12th. So we have about a week. I mean, today's the 6th, so we have like 6 days. So a week from yesterday. What is can you see what the prediction is at the moment, what they're expecting it to be?
Yeah, I'm looking. It's going to take a second.
I will say, I think there's a decent chance that it goes down, because even though we've had oil prices, we've had a lot of things happening that the oil prices more likely are going up. That shouldn't have come into effect yet by the time that we get this print. The data they're taking this print in probably will not have that. I think that we could have lower CPI numbers come in again in April, but then in May, that's when we see CPI go higher.
So if you'll go over to my screen, Piper, unless you have it pulled up already, do you?
He's on your screen.
Okay. So basically, there's no forecast for core inflation, but there is a. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah. So year over year, there's no forecast, but core inflation month over month, the forecast is a beat. So the forecast is to beat previous 0.4, previous 0.5. So the forecast is 0.4, previous 0.5.
Mhm.
Inflation rate month over month, the forecast is another beat. 3 will be 0.4. 0.3 will be 0.4. There's no forecast for the year over year. That's the one that the market will trade on. And the previous for headline was 6, as we know. The core was 5.5. So it's coming out on the 12th, 8:30. You can bet your bottom dollar that we'll be covering that. But as of now, there's no forecast. But overall, I would say probably that we're gonna, unfortunately, with oil prices coming back up. But I don't know if that happens soon enough in the month for that to be a factor.
I don't think the data is going to be able to take that in just yet.
Yeah, I think it's too complicated. It wouldn't be very high quality of an answer for us to give you an answer because we're not tracking those commodity baskets right now.
I'm gonna say I'm not gonna give a number, but I think it actually will be lower than it was last month, simply because I think things were still heading in that right direction, and it's going to be a catch up thing. I don't even know, like, especially with the money printing that just happened. I don't even know if the money printing that happened to kind of help out some banks, I don't know if that's going to make its way into the data either.
Trueflate, if you go back to my screen, Piper, Trueflation.
Yeah, I was getting ready to pull it up too.
Go for it then, Piper.
Yeah, Trueflation is currently running 4.23% right now. And, the U.S. government's reporting their 6%. So Trueflation typically runs a better methodology than what the federal government does because it is more to the true way that they do it. And it's actually coming in quite a bit under what the Fed is actually putting out. So.
Yeah, I do think things are going to change. I do think we're going to see money printers put back. I mean, we're already seeing money printers put back on. We're going to see inflation numbers start to go back up here in a little bit. But I would not be surprised to see these numbers still come in all right. Again, I think it's even going to be part of a whole campaign of everything's all right that's going to happen later this year. That the Fed's going to try to perpetuate that they know what they're doing. Everything's okay. You can trust the banks. You can trust the money, the U.S. dollar. And then everything's going to go to crap, and then people will move into a bull market. Go ahead.
I think T-Shroom actually was looking at some other stuff on the Trueflation site. Were you looking at the breakdown inside?
I was looking at Trueflation year-over-year rate, which is 4.41. I did notice that there was a difference between your number and mine, which is a little curious. But I don't think that's that big of a deal. Could probably just whistle on past that.
Yeah, I'm actually on looking at as of today. So,
okay, yeah, I'm not sure why there's that difference.
We can go ahead and move on and go into what were you preparing, Piper? The question about.
Oh, I was looking at that near. I was just another thing I saw here was that we were in this nice trend regression. I think that we're going to come up and hit this upper resistance line here at the top of this regression trend. Before we get more downside. However, this is typically a bearish pattern. So
it is,
but just something to watch. So, I mean, it could go all the way up into this previous ranges over here. And before it starts to come down and then hits that delta, so.
Very interesting. Yep. Well, let's see here in chat. Let's see what else. Rick Wilson said, Findora, please, ticker FRA. That is a stock? FRA? Or is that
no?
Or
it's a
USD?
Crypto.
Is it okay?
It's
so it's be over USD. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Okay, it is. Let's take a look over here. I'm gonna go up to the daily chart and see what we have going on here.
And while you're looking at that, I'll address his question that he asked me. He said, "RV Piper, do you have a section I've not found in either Chart Prime or Investing Bros Discord for your trades?" I do not. I do a lot of long-term trades, so you would literally get like 1 to 2 out of me every 4 or 5 months. So I do very long swing trades. So
yeah, I'm sitting here looking at Findora. I mean, what I have here, I'm on crypto in general. Is there a chart that goes further back? Maybe KuCoin on Tether goes further back. Not necessarily. This must be kind of the creation of it. We got a little bit of a symmetrical triangle pattern that just doesn't have enough going on here. I think one of the things that you could probably use the best here would be using Fibonacci. Let's go all the way to what it says is the all-time high down to what is currently the all-time low. although obviously there has to have some other price. I don't know. It is going on here. We're bouncing now right now between the 0.236. We did come all the way up to the 0.5 level. We're coming back down low. The fact that we have a little bit rising support, I would actually venture to say what I'm seeing just off the bat, my initial reaction, this is somewhat bullish. Of course, this could break to the downside, in which case, let's go from a longer time frame Fibonacci. Let's take a look at a little bit of shorter time, even let's go from this bottom all the way up to this top and see what we have going on here. We bounced right out. That's looking just about the 0.5 or potentially golden pocket range, but let's take a look right here. Yeah, right there. We got a wick down into the golden pocket, broke back up through the 0.5. So this is a good sign. I would say that the bulls are making some moves here. So the fact that we're on a level of support right here, the fact that we did rally up and break down, touching the golden pocket before resuming, that is a good sign here. We also ignored on the daily chart a red reversal triangle. We continue just to move to the upside. You look at the RSI here as well, just kind of slowly trickling. This does strike me as a very boring price action. It doesn't really want to do much. Again, I know zero about the fundamentals of this project, zero about what it's doing. Like this might be one Crypto Archie would look like. Or I guess you look at what are your thoughts about what you're seeing fundamentally about Findora while I look at some other things?
Findora is a fully confidential yet auditable, high throughput and scalable public financial infrastructure. The cryptographically transparent financial ledger at Findora's core enables efficient, accessible, transparent financial services. Okay. You can buy it on gate.io. Interesting. Yeah. Well, let's see how many Twitter followers they have. 800. Seems kind of low, but could be early. Yeah. So I would say, so they don't have their rich list, or a rich list is not published on coincarp.com, which makes it a little tough to see their coin distribution just quickly. You could go into the Etherscan and try to figure that out yourself. But taking a look here, their fully diluted market cap is 60 million, and their circulating supply is 6.7 billion. So interesting. Those are some of the underlying tokenomics there. Max supplies like Bitcoin 21 billion.
No, I mean Bitcoin 21 million, so it's 21
billion. I'm just saying, pick the 21 number.
Yeah, and I'm looking at that. That's circulating supply right now. It's nowhere close to what it currently is. So that was one of the definitions Archie said he does not like, is when you see that much. When it says that supply to what it will have long term. That's not a great look. Rick Wilson did say, thanks, Piper. Nice one, Tim. FRA is a sort of privacy coin layer 1. So that would make it attractive to some people. That kind of explains some of the boringness. I will say, going back to my chart there, the one thing I will say, daily chart here using Chart Prime, the dynamic reactor on the daily chart hasn't existed that long because it's got to take on a lot of data. But after being below it for a while, and more than likely looking at this, it was below it a little bit before this. Breaking through and using it as support is another good sign, another bullish sign, I would say, for this coin. Along with, we also came down here. We're kind of sitting in the middle of all these bunches. So let me go ahead and take down my Fibonacci just to get some less lines here. We are hitting our head right here on a level of resistance. So a good breakthrough there. You got some good room to the upside before you get back to the biggest bunch, back up to the high we had here back in February. So I'm going to go ahead and say I lean a little bit more bullish on this Findora coin. Let's see if it were to break that high. Oh gosh, that's 119% increase. That's a lot to ask for, but the charts are showing that, hey, it's found like it looks like it's found some nice support, and it's very slowly but surely running up. The fact that it ignored a bearish call right here, the fact that the RSI is moving right in line with the price, like this on the RSI alone, we're not seeing divergence on the Chart Prime indicator. We're also not seeing divergence on the RSI. It seems like it's just moving tit for tat there. If we can break through right here, we're currently struggling with, we just rejected at the 0.003051 level, so very, very small coin. If we can break up, there's a chance it gets up to the 0.006. So what would that be? It'd be like 0.6 of a cent. Interesting stuff I'm seeing there. Not necessarily a terrible trade.
If you actually look at that top point to the bottom right there that you look at here, I'll just show my screen. I got it right here. If you actually look here going from this top point here down to this low that they had, actually, I'm sorry, from the low that they had to the top point, let me rephrase that. You'll actually see that right now we're getting all of our rejection in the golden pocket after testing beautifully on the platinum pocket. So we're just kind of in between the gold and platinum right now. but we are above on great retest of the dynamic reactors. So that's what I'm seeing there. Yep, on the 4 hour, correct.
Yeah, interesting.
You did reverse. I was like, what is he talking about from the bottom to top? You did the reversal of it. Makes a lot of sense. Gotcha. Well, we did get a super chat that just came in, so let's talk about this one. We got NMCT said, quick macro question: is the current market conditions accelerating the tokenization of stocks? These companies are valuable, but not currencies it's bought by, but not the currencies it's bought by. That's actually a good question. Selling tokenization of stocks. We've seen this happen a lot. And that's what I think T-Shirt was even alluding to earlier. I do think you will see the emergence of what do they call it? Security tokens. And it's pretty much just going to be a roundabout way to purchase stocks via digital currency rather than going through traditional finance methods. But T-Shirt, what are your thoughts about that overall?
I'm a little hung up on that. These companies are valuable, but not the currencies it's bought by. I'm a little caught up on that, but overall, I will say this: if you go to my screen pipes, there's a Daily Hodl article that highlighted a PDF that was put out by Citigroup that predicted an 80K explosion in tokenization and forecasted a timeline for mass adoption of digital assets. We got into the details. Yeah, the highlights went away for some reason, but the details of this basically is that Citigroup, which you'd have to assume they're not the only ones predicting this or looking into the crystal ball for some insights on tokenization. They're seeing a lot of potential for it. And what does this mean for people who don't understand? Tokenization is basically, if Apple really wanted to, they could push and say, hey, we're either going to come off the New York Stock Exchange or we're going to stay on, but we want to go ahead and release basically a coin, an Apple coin kind of thing, where we want to raise money through tokenizing, or they want to tokenize their bonds or their stocks, so that you can buy a digital version, have a digital claim to an Apple existing stock, or a new round of stocks, or perhaps NFTs of tokenized aspects of maybe like design sketches of something that could potentially have value. So it's things like that. And Citigroup is kind of clocking that phenomenon coming up and saying that there's going to be quite a bit of that. But according to their report, I don't remember exactly when they put this out from a time standpoint. Let me see if I can find this really quickly, because there was a pretty cool timeline chart that I was taking a look at here. I don't know if you're still on my screen, Piper. Are you?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Yeah. You're good, brother.
Yeah. It doesn't have tokenization on it. It has some other stuff, but it's putting metaverse, one thing of note, putting metaverse at 6 years from 2022, and then quantum computing at 10 years from 2022. So interesting stuff. We kind of got off the tokenization rails, but to answer your specific question, in MCT, the macro conditions, specifically the dollar conditions, is absolutely contributing to what it would take for the environment to start to tokenize, for the financial world to start to look at the tokenization and blockchain world instead of listing or issuing more shares on the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ or one of the other three. I think there's like 3,000 exchanges out there in the US at least.
Well, let's remember then. I mean, we saw the news. The NASDAQ is looking to start listing Bitcoin and Ethereum later on this summer. They know
it's probably going to meet in the middle.
They know that if they want to continue to compete, they're going to have to move into the tokenized world. They're going to have to move into digital assets world. And that kind of answers the question. The simple answer is yes. Like, I think you're going to see a lot more companies, rather than going the route of traditional stock filing, they're going to start issuing tokens and raise capital that way. I mean, T. Shum and I know of a company that, it's a real estate company. And rather than going about the investing way during stock market, they're creating tokens. It's going to be a security token, but they're going to create a token that allows you to invest in real estate via purchasing digital currency. And so I think you are going to see that come up. What's going to be interesting is watching the battle of which layer ones are they going to start building on top of. I mean, I think massive companies could potentially start building their own, like maybe Microsoft and Apple can work on creating their own layer ones and things like that. But like with smaller companies, are they going to choose Ethereum? Are they going to choose Cardano? Are they going to choose Polkadot? Are they going to choose different ones?
Or
that's going to be the race.
Is it possible too that a country like Dubai or Switzerland or Estonia or something could issue a CBDC that has not only decentralization but also the backing of a government? And so CBDCs are interesting. I've been doing a lot more research on them. CBDC, you can easily tokenize, a company's stocks and bonds with a CBDC. It could be the same thing. And CBDCs are going to be going to be very interesting to see how they get positioned in the market for adoption, because right now they're not being adopted in the countries like Nigeria, Jamaica, and there's one other country that they've been rolled out, but mostly in Jamaica, they're not being adopted almost at all, CBDCs, even though I believe they're past the pilot stage. They're actually a full launch. There's a lot of retailers that accept the CBDCs. The JAM DAX is what the currency is called. But in Nigeria, it's a different story. But that's because their government has done a bunch of crazy stuff with specific bill notes that they've put out. And so there's higher rates of adoption there. But that's an extreme economic example. Nigeria is. Obviously, China has theirs, but that's another extreme example. It's because of the nature of the communist state there. It's not. What will be very interesting is for a country like Sweden, who I believe has released an e-kroner. That's the one to really watch, because Sweden has a economy that is much more characteristic of the wider world of economies that matter, right? So it's going to be really interesting how that one goes. And the adoption for the e-kroner is very low. And I think it's because of a lot of different things, but I think that central banks and not all countries are as corrupt as the United States and as the UK. And maybe corrupt isn't the right word, but they're so tied in with interest groups of big oil, of big pharmaceuticals. Not all countries are like that. And Estonia and Dubai and countries like that have a lot more autonomy and are doing things because they want to do it, because a new generation of leaders are leading the way on technology. They could actually release CBDCs that are adopted, and not in a bad way. But then there's always that option down the road for a leader to get elected who would manipulate the CBDCs in a bad way. But guys, I would go ahead and soften your view on CBDCs. Don't see them as the ultimate evil. And you may hate the fact that I'm even saying that, but I think that a CBDC rolled out by, let me summarize it this way. A CBDC rolled out by the United States is a totally different CBDC, has different potential than one rolled out by Estonia, Dubai, Switzerland. So don't be, but one rolled out by India or China also may be very suspect. But understand the country that's rolling it out. That really has a big part to play, and also which blockchain provider they're using. Are they using XRP? Are they using I think Mint currency is a big one. Are they using a company and a CEO of a company to manage their CBDC that is pro decentralization, that understands the vision of Bitcoin? Or are they using a provider that just is going to work with that one government and just figure out a way to manipulate the population? That's really the questions to ask. And unfortunately, guys, what does that mean? That means that the CBDC, and I made a long Twitter post about this, the CBDC versus Bitcoin narrative is a lot more complicated than we realize. And that's going to be annoying for Bitcoin maxis, but it's going to be very great for us as we continue to be interested in the way that this unfolds.
I also think it's not even just because I think I appreciate what you're saying about, hey, don't necessarily just say because it's CBDC, it's bad based on the country. I do think massive countries like the United States, China, Russia, India, I would even venture to say, even though they're not large in terms of land, but it's probably alarming if the UK came out with
I would agree with that.
If the euro, because their currency is a little different. If Europe as a whole created a CBDC similar to the euro,
that would be bad.
That's alarming.
Yeah.
When it comes to smaller countries, it's not just, I would say it's not just so they're a smaller country. I also want to say, what does that CBDC look like? Because is it more of just a stable coin that happens to be backed by the government? or is it purposely opening things up
Right.
for them to be able to track your information? That's another very important thing about CBDCs is they don't. It's almost like a CBDC doesn't have to be evil. We just know that the motive behind CBDCs, especially by large countries, is for the sake of manipulation and control and having the ability to have way more access to individuals' freedoms and privacy. That's what's scary about it. But if one was made with some ground rules that don't allow them to do that, then that's not necessarily an inherently evil CBDC.
Here's something that could shatter and kind of hit this point home that could shatter your views on CBDCs or help you rethink them as I have. And we're bringing these things up because the security token world and the CBDC world are picking up. And it's not necessarily clear to me that is immediately a problem or immediately that bad. There's absolutely snakes in the grass, probably tantamount to FTX in those grasses that could be bad. But here, let me make this comparison. If you were to say that El Salvador, instead of going with Bitcoin because Bitcoin is proof of work, if they went with proof of stake and made Ethereum legal tender, and then they got just like a crazy amount of funding from maybe spawning some kind of oil industry or something like that, they could, in theory, turn Ethereum into a CBDC, right? Ethereum may not be the best example but think about it in that way, that like just because we already have a name for a blockchain based currency doesn't mean that it's always going to be that way. It could potentially be hijacked. And the reason why I excluded Bitcoin from that example, because it's proof of work is way harder to hijack than Ethereum. Ethereum would be very hard to hijack just because of how distributed the actual coins are in the amount of wallets. But if you took like an AVAX, for example, or a Solana, for example, yes, they're still proliferated, but a country could, if it threw all of its resources behind it, could flip it into something that looked like a CBDC, something that a central authority was managing. Now, again, all of the coins that I've listed, it would be very, very difficult to have a 51% takeover or to have, a flip it into a CBDC. It'd be very difficult and close to impossible. But that just is to illustrate that these things are not so black and white. If a government that became very, very rich with resources like a Saudi Arabia or a Singapore, if they became compelled to want to that's their sole mission, is to flip AVAX. They want to turn AVAX into the Singapore CBDC. There's a chance that they could do it, right? It's not impossible. It's not that far away. Whereas Bitcoin, it is very, very far away. It's very difficult. It would be very difficult to do that. So anyway, that's kind of my illustration. Sorry, I've been doing a lot of musings on CBDCs this morning, but there it is.
I think it's a deep rabbit trail that is a good one to go down from time to time. I'm looking at the chat. A lot of people, Crypto Trades, saying the only way he'd be cool with it is if it was the PB&J coin. I'll actually move this over to my screen. I'll show you guys. So yeah, Jeffrey Fritz, for those you don't know, or Crypto Sec guy. I just doxed him, but I've said his name like that before. Yesterday, we had 2 days ago, we had a bro time over on Discord for our gold members. By the way, we have one again today that silver members get to be in as well.
Heck yeah.
So that's at 3:00 Eastern time. But he went ahead and we were joking about a PB&J coin, a peanut butter and jelly coin. We found out it didn't exist. So Crypto Sec guy said bet. Went ahead and created this. This is what the link you put in here earlier. Couple of details about it though. First of all, I do love the design. That's really cool with the peanut butter and jelly in there.
Midjourney definitely doesn't look like it made that.
As Matt C just put there, it's more scarce than Bitcoin. This was on purpose. Notice it has 20,999,999 coins available. So it's actually more scarce than Bitcoin.
Wow.
So already the tokenomics are starting to really get
what's
very
the
good
utility though?
So I'm going to be honest with you guys. We don't know what the utility. I think that this is something, and I'm not promising because this is a lot of chaos. First of all, for legal reasons, I want people to know this is not going to be any type of store of value whatsoever. More than likely, if anything happens with this, it will. No, I mean this is what Crypto Second.
Why do you hate peanut butter and jelly, Tim?
I don't want to be involved in any type of lawsuits where we could even be accused of rug pulling on people.
I'm just going to tell you, Tim, that is the same exact thing that the developer of Dogecoin said when he put it out.
Yeah, the greater
the
fools
exact
theory.
Same thing.
I would love for this to be incorporated in some way into our Investing Bros Discord. And I was telling, this isn't final, but you guys give us feedback on this. And this is almost acting like an AMA on YouTube. So you guys are getting a special treat here. This is the type of chaos we get into in bro time over on Discord. What would you guys think about, like, so the different levels in Patreon, like they get like a stipend per, because we're just going to give the coin out is what ultimately happened. So if people are in our silver package, they get like 50 a month. And then if they're in the gold, they get like 100. And if they're in diamond, they get like 250, right? And then we do things like they can pay and use, like if they want special TA done by one of us, they can say, hey, I want to pay this much. But we also can fine people. Like if people do something, we can create these fake rules that if people violate the rules, they get fined a certain amount.
Create a strict authoritarian state.
There's rewards. If people do things, they get rewarded in extra coin. Like that's my thought. I think it'd be super cool to do stuff like that. But what I do know is I don't think, again, I could be persuaded differently. I don't expect this to ever go onto any public exchange and to be traded. But we'll see. You know, maybe we'll be just such a smashing success.
Yeah.
But
turn our Discord into the Thunderdome. You gotta fight.
Yeah, Crypto Trade says as long as you don't give it any value, you guys are good. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think we're ever gonna. I think this might just be a special thing. If you want to own peanut butter and jelly coin, you need to join the Investing Bros Patreon. And then it's not official just yet, so we'll continue to work the details out on that. But I think that would be an interesting addition to our Discord community. In chat, let me know. We got 62 people watching. Thank you to everyone who's sticking around here. We're about to close out, but let me know what you guys think about peanut butter and jelly coin, how we should use it, and how excited you guys are about that. Guys, it is 10:30 though. Thank you so much for joining in with us this morning. Tomorrow is going to be the last show of the week. It is Friday, and we are going to be having CVO coming on, another expert technical analyst. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. An update. I will be out on Monday and Tuesday, but you still got T-Shroom and Army Piper running the ship here. The Investing Bros show will go on no matter what. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Hit those notification bells. We got some big things coming your guys' way. So make sure you are a part of every step of the journey here with Investing Bros. You guys are watching the most generous community in all of crypto, YouTube. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.